Should parents be liable for their kids' actions online? A story coming out of Georgia where, according to the Daily Report, the name and the face of a girl were used to make up a phony Facebook page. And the attorney says when you fail to supervise your children, when you know there is harm and risk and you don't remove it, there's a subsequent injury, there's a liability there. The Georgia Court of Appeals ruled that the parents of the 7th grade student may be negligent for failing to get their son to delete a Facebook profile that allegedly defamed a female classmate. The story begins in 2011 when a boy and another student made a fake Facebook profile pretending to be this girl. They used the Fat Face app to make her look obscene and posted profane and sexual explicit comments on the page. When the girl found out, she told her parents, the principal as well. The school punished the boys with 2 days of in-school suspension, alerted the parents. The parents grounded them for a week, but for the next 11 months, the page stayed up. So as a result, the parents sued, and the judge agrees that the jury could find the parents negligent, caused some of the injury that the girl has sustained. So to talk more about all of this, should parents be liable for the kids' actions online? Gary Dierenfeld, social worker, yoursocialworker.com to find out more, and of course has a parenting column in your Hamilton Spectator. Gary, how are you today?
Scott, just want to say right off the bat, you get my vote.
So from a social point of view, why don't you think any of the incumbent counselors are coming on?
You know what? Maybe they're worried about being held accountable or presenting themselves poorly. But I don't know why anyone would avoid being on with you. You are there to ask some tough questions of them, hold them accountable, and quite frankly, it's in the electorate, it's in our interest as citizens to hear what these people have to say.
All right, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So should parents be liable for kids' actions that they have on social media?
So let's unpack this case just a little bit more. I think you clearly stated it, but I want to hammer home this point, that these 2 kids, a boy and a girl, co-posted this nasty Facebook page. The mom complained to the school. The school found out who was involved. The boy got an in-school suspension, so likely that boy's parents did find out. However, they never took down the Facebook page. And so after all of that, should the parents next be liable for the actions of their son, not holding their son accountable to taking down a Facebook page that's bullying of another student? Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's the context. I sit back and say, you betcha. Yeah. You betcha. You know, parents, if we're good enough to be helicopter parents and we're hovering and we know everything that our kids are doing, we do that not only to keep our own kids safe from harm, but to hold them accountable when they are harming others. This is a parental responsibility, and in the social work jargon, we call it parental monitoring. It's just not good enough to say, well, I don't know what my kid is up to or into. I get it. This is the electronic age. It certainly is tougher, and it doesn't mean that we will know everything, but for goodness sakes, when it comes to our attention, we have an obligation.
Wouldn't taking down the Facebook page just be part of the punishment? Like, wouldn't that be just common sense? Wouldn't that be the first thing you do?
Well, you and I are good at common sense, but, you know, clearly common sense does not always prevail, and that's why we do have recourse to the courts to jump in and make things happen when common sense fails. And so that's what's happened in this situation, that the parents of the girl who was offended, they're marching this back to court to hold the other parents accountable. And like I said, I think that's reasonable in this circumstance. I don't think it would be reasonable right off the bat.
It just seems that we're more concerned, even in you know, I'm not saying that these kids shouldn't have been punished, but it seemed that we were more interested in punishing the kids and less interested in how this was harming the victim.
Correct.
So, in other words, it's like, well, make sure we run these kids out of Dodge, but did anybody think to look over their shoulder and take the page down? And again, doesn't that say, in society that, again, we still don't get it, Gary. We still don't get that we're supposed to be looking after somebody. This isn't about turning around and bullying the kids that did the bullying. This is about looking after the victim. And it seems in this case, once again, we forgot.
Well, that's why you're getting my vote, right? You and I were on the same page. And this is an issue where, again, where we don't protect the victim gets re-victimized. We unfortunately see a lot of this in the area of violence against women. This was a young girl. I wonder how it would have been if it was a young boy, quite frankly, looking at it from a gendered perspective.
So you think it would have been different if it had been a boy?
Part of me has to wonder that. Part of me absolutely has to wonder that. Sorry to say that, and I'm raising the gender issue, but we do see these as gender issues as well. That if it was a young boy who had been bullied, might that have been taken down sooner than the fact that this is a girl? And we've seen girls, sadly, so bullied on Facebook to the point of their compromised mental health to the point of suicide. We've also seen that with persons who are outed as gay or lesbian. So I think that is an issue in this, although no one else has raised that. But at the end of the day, are parents responsible? Parents ask me, at what age should my son or daughter have a cell phone? And we may have had this discussion. I always tell parents, when your child can afford to make the initial purchase and carry the service plan, that's when they can have their own cell phone. Because at that point, they have to work for it. So the more time they're at work, the more responsible they are, the less time they have for nonsense. They're likely not going to lose the cell phone because they've invested their own money in it. And they're going to be older and hopefully a little bit wiser past this stage of life. And this stage of life, we're seeing this activity in the 11 to 14-year-old. Very, very common.
Yeah.
And so it's too young for these children to have these devices willy-nilly, and then in particular, unsupervised.
So how do you explain this page being up for 11 months? Okay, it stayed up for a month, 2 weeks. Oh, gee, we thought we did that. Oh, but 11 months? And then they had to, ask Facebook to deactivate the account. And it was eventually they that did it.
Right. And
so at what point, where's the boy and the girl that, that put the dang thing up? Why aren't they taking this down months ago?
Right. And again, so this is a common problem where we don't hold the bully fully accountable at the expense of the victim. The other thing in dealing with Facebook, other people have commented that Facebook doesn't take down these kinds of pages too quickly, that they have to receive numerous complaints, that they're going to drag their heels, and for whatever their process is, it does seem to be inordinate. Versus, you can go to your own Facebook page and delete it, on a moment's notice. So I think there are some issues with Facebook's accountability in that. But again, coming down to the issue, what is a parent's role? This should send shivers down the backs of virtually, literally, all parents in the U.S. and Canada.
To what age are they held responsible? Is it 16? Is it 18?
Well, typically on things like this, we see it to an age of 16 and or 18, depending on the jurisdiction, and when they consider that kid to no longer be a minor, if you will.
All right, so let me ask you one other question. Speaking of technology, and I'm blindsiding you with this, so just give me your impression off the top of your head. Apple and Facebook are offering to freeze eggs for female employees in an effort to attract more to their staff. Do you think this will work? I mean, apparently, and I should mention that for Facebook, this is part of a greater infertility program. They've got, they'll provide services or funding for those services as well to their female employees. So, and although people are just, the whole freezing of the eggs thing has managed to make its way into the headlines, it's part of a more comprehensive health package that they offer females that work for the company. Some are thinking that this is everything from unethical to, well, let's leave it at that. What are your thoughts? I mean, is this a company that's just looking to make sure that their female employees are well taken care of? Or is this an effort to get more females into the boardroom? Is this the whole glass ceiling thing?
Well, the optics might be that we're trying to act in the interest of our female employees, but quite frankly, I don't know that these companies are that altruistic. Companies like this typically aren't offering services or supports on an altruistic basis. They must believe that that's going to do something for their bottom line. Being blindsided, I'm kind of gobsmacked, and I like that word.
It is a little odd. It is a little odd, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the whole thing. It does sound odd.
Especially at a time when companies seem to be cutting back benefits, this seems to be the exact opposite. And obviously, that's how Facebook's trying to be progressive, I guess.
Right. I guess I look at it in a bit of a different context. Why do you need to entice women to potentially work such that they have to concern themselves about their fertility or childbearing years? Why not have other policies in place that support parenting?
And apparently they do that. Like apparently they've got quite a great maternity plan and whatever, and they'll give you the year off and all that sort of thing. They've got quite a progressive maternity plan for females, and this is just part of it. It's not like it's the only thing.
Well, I'm pleased to know that, and obviously I'm speaking from a place of little information.
It just sounds odd, though, doesn't it? Doesn't it sound odd, Gary?
I think I told you in the past I want to talk about sex, but I didn't think it would be this aspect.
There you go.
You still got my vote, by the way.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Gary Dierenfeld is with us, social worker, and of course, yoursocialworker.com to find out more. And don't forget to read his parenting column in your Hamilton Spectator. Gary, as always, a pleasure. You take care.
Hamilton, vote for Scott Thompson.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye.
It is 12:53. It's 900 CHML. I'm Scott Thompson. We're coming back.